Hello, hello. Hello.
I hope people realize that that's me talking.
Yes, waffles with gravy is Joe here. I guess yeah, we should probably specify anytime you see waffles with gravy typing in chat, that is the goose next to me over here.
Honk. I enjoy trolling before the stream.
Yes. We do a little trolling. So let me get the music playing. So we just have Skyrim music playing in the background. If it's too loud, let me know.
I hope it's the intro theme.
Hey, you're finally awake.
I can't verify because I have ears.
Yeah, at the moment the one that's playing is called From Past to Present, which I don't think is the intro music, but who knows.
Before we start, I have to specify something about myself. I suck at video games, including apparently AI Dungeon.
It's AI Dungeon takes quite a bit of nuance to. But sometimes you get lucky and you just get the wackiest things. But I think so I guess yeah. Another thing before we begin. A disclaimer about AI Dungeon. Anyone that wants to can at any point set up an account with AI Dungeon. It just takes like a little bit of verification and then you're able to make whatever story you want. You can't technically do it even without an account, but you get limited to like 100 lines total. So it ends up like being not really worth it if you do that because you don't really get a full story. But a few things about AI Dungeon. First off, if you want to get the best model, which there's the Griffin model and there's the Dragon model, and the Dragon model is a much more high-tech, much more cohesive model that will give you a lot better stories. If you want to get that, you do have to pay for it. I think the minimum to get that is like $10 a month, which is very steep. And then that like not only does that like that gets you it, but you get a limited amount of it. So if you want full unlimited access to it, then it's I think $25 a month. So it's quite expensive. I mean, granted, this AI is like really, really fascinating stuff. But it's still kind of frustrating. So keep that in mind. We're using the Griffin model. We haven't paid for the Dragon model. So the stories that we're getting are good, but not as good as they would be with the Dragon model. Because the Dragon model is like phenomenal. Genuinely, it's really good at writing good stories. But the Griffin model is still very good as well. It just sometimes makes some weird decisions, and so you go and rewrite a line or you refresh it like 15 times to get one that actually makes sense. Another thing. Oh, sorry. Go on. What were you saying?
Well, after hearing the pricing model, I'll be like, I'm just thinking, fine, I'll make my own dungeon AI with blackjack and hookers.
Yeah, pretty much. One other thing to keep in mind. AI Dungeon did land in some hot water a few months ago, where it came out that they
was it being racist?
No, although sometimes I mean the AI is very unpredictable. Sometimes it will do stuff like that, but it turns out that a lot of the information, a lot of the stories that people were writing, even if they were deleting them, were getting saved by AI Dungeon team. Like do with that what you will. You know, there were some people that wrote some really weird stories on there, and so they were the most concerned about it. But I mean, really, anyone that's concerned about their own privacy should be concerned about something like that. I know I ended up deleting my account after that in frustration, and then I created another one because I was like, I enjoy AI Dungeon. You know, a part of me wants to say that very likely, most of this is very likely true, they were probably taking a lot of that information because it would allow them to make a better model. It would allow them to keep improving the model by getting more information about what is good and what is bad, you know, what sort of stories people want to write. So, you know, do with that information what you will. It kind of sucks that happened because I know that pushed a lot of people away from AI Dungeon because it had a lot of controversy. So despite that, it can still make some really funny stories. It's still a very fun program thing to use. we'll go ahead and get into the stories.
All right. And while you're taking a sip there, I'd like to say I do have a background in computer science, and I have taken a natural language programming class, and I absolutely failed it, so I couldn't tell you any more about this than anyone else on the internet.
Yeah, it's AI Dungeon is like just fascinating to me. Just because I mean, it started with like Talk to Transformer a few years ago, where it was you would write in a small prompt and it would give you like at most 20 lines of something to autocomplete the story. Or it wouldn't even like complete it, just it would give you a bunch of lines. And so it was like that was always pretty cool, but it was very limited. So something like AI Dungeon is just like the fact that you literally have never ending story capabilities with something like AI Dungeon. Although you'll notice with a lot of the pre-made stories, like when you create a new story, you can choose custom, where it's a custom prompt, or you can do like fantasy or apocalyptic or cyberpunk or whatever. You'll notice that a lot of those ones share similarities. There's like for the fantasy, it ends up doing Larion as like the main city. That I've noticed multiple times actually, and this kind of feeds into one of my other stories that I someday want to read. It very often will do this character called the One Who Mars. I have no idea what that even means, but it ends up using that actually quite often, which is bizarre. Because it grammatically it doesn't even make any sense. Like it's like Mars the planet, the One Who Mars. Like so anyways, it's very funny, but yeah, so you do end up getting some repetition unless you do custom prompts, but custom prompts can be anything you want. I've done a lot of Star Trek stories with the custom prompts and they got pretty good.
And I wrote an essay. What? No.
Nice. Yeah, you can use AI Dungeon to help you finish your essay if you want. Go ahead and write your first 2 pages of it and just let it do the rest of it. You might end up getting some really crazy stuff, but all right, so we're going to get into this now. So I'm thinking of changing the stream topic text specifically to be my story name, The Adventures of Grim Jimmy. That is my character for this story. So I'm going to be reading this directly off of AI Dungeon. So it is from the second person perspective. It's like you are blah, 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 and you do this. So keep that in mind. Here we go. You are Grim Jimmy, a detective living in Chicago. You have a pistol and a police badge. You enter the forest where you believe the criminal you're searching for fled to. Suddenly, several shots are fired from the shadows. You run towards the direction of the gunfire where you expect to see a gang of robbers hiding. Instead, you find Slim Jimmy, your brother, who, despite his name, is morbidly obese. He is chained to a meat hook driven in the ground and forced to hold a sign that reads, "Will work for food." You say, "What are you doing here, Slim Jimmy?" Slim Jimmy's mouth opens and closes as he struggles to speak, his cheeks flapping like skin on a fish. Finally, he manages to squeak, "I wanted to help out. I'm sorry, brother." You say, "What do you mean, my pudgy brother?" Slim Jimmy's face scrunches up into an odd look, one that seems to be a compound of disgust and dismay. He slowly raises one finger, and then raises 2. You say, "Two? 2 what? Why 2? What are you trying to tell me, my horrendously obese kin?" Slim Jimmy makes a face like a road sign that someone took a truck to overturn. Whatever that means. He makes a clicking sound with his mouth and then mumbles. You say, "I have no idea what that description even means. Come on, let's get out of here." Slim Jimmy lets out a mournful sigh. He seems defeated. He slowly drops his sign and follows you out of the forest. You say, what were you doing in the forest, Slim Jimmy?" Slim Jimmy shrugs dejectedly and says, "I felt like walking in the forest." You sigh and continue. "Let's go to the police chief's house." The next day, you sit in a chair in front of the desk of Police Chief Frank Callaghan and listen to his secretary filing paperwork with the pen on his desk. You say, "Police Chief Callaghan, Have you gotten any new information about my brother and why he was chained to a meat hook in the forest? The police chief looks up from his stack of papers on his desk. No, he says. You say, oh, okay. Oh, okay, is all you say. I'll get back to you on that, says the police chief. You say, well, this certainly has been a productive discussion. I'm going to leave now. You stand and you walk out of the police station. You see an obese man sitting on the bench in the park across the street. You say, hey, Slim Jimmy, what are you doing here? Are you ready to talk about who chained you up to the meat hook in the forest? The large, round man looks up from his newspaper he is reading and glares at you. He gets up and begins to walk towards you, muttering. You say, oh, I'm sorry, you're just some other exceedingly overweight person. I mixed you up with my brother. The man stands before you and says, don't you remember me? I'm Jimmy the Hand. You sigh and say, yes, I'm sorry, Jimmy, but you're too disgusting to even consider. Keep in mind that those two lines were made by the AI. I didn't write that. You say, get your disgusting face out of my eminently beautiful face. Jimmy the Hand attempts to hit you, and you see there is a large burlap sack under his bench. You say, oh, are you homeless, Jimmy the Hand? Get your filthy paw out of my mouth. That's not even disgusting. Jimmy the Hand angrily pushes the sack over and grumbles. You say, okay, I'm going to leave now, Jimmy the Hand. Fine, Jimmy the Hand says. You know what I look like. There's a good chance I'll find you again. You walk away and look over your shoulder to make sure Jimmy hasn't followed you. You enter the police station and tell some officers to arrest Jimmy the Hand. A uniformed officer walks down the hall, holding a large pistol that sticks out of his belt. He says, got a call about some bums running around outside, and, well, the officer pauses and looks at your face. What the heck is that? You look at the officer's face and go pale. Your face, he repeats. You say, oh, you're just admiring my absolute beauty. Yes, I am indeed an amazing specimen. Beauty is pain, you say. Distracting as it may be, I need to go now. The police officer raises the barrel of the gun and says, I'll give you a second to get past me. You continue, go on, you ugly imbecile, stare into my eyes and all that. You pull out your gun and aim it at the officer. The police officer's eyes widen in shock. He begins to tremble. Seeing that you have a good hold of the man, you walk a little closer. Now then, officer, you say, when the revolution comes, I'm going to be running the city. Isn't that right, officers? The police officer begins to yell for help, bringing other officers running from different parts of the building. You pull out your second gun and aim it at the new officers. The new officers are even more shocked than the first. However, they don't drop their weapons. You pull out your pistol and begin to shoot them one at a time, sending them sliding on the ground. You say, oops, I didn't mean to shoot you all. I needed your support in this revolution. You glance at Jimmy the Hand, who is coming out of his hiding place. Well played, he grunts. You grab the pistol off the ground and glance around. Where to next? You walk out of the police officer's headquarters and head to the streets of Chicago. You say, we need to find Slim Jimmy, and then we can head to Dim Jimmy, the smartest man I've ever known. You and Jimmy walk down the street in Chicago. So, you must be a newbie, says Jimmy. You say, no, actually, I've been on the police force for 30 years. Oh, really? Then you must be one of the old hands, mentored by me. They always let me know if another officer makes a caller so that I can take the evidence for posterity. You say, what, you're a police officer? As I said, my dear, beauty is pain. But if you're looking for my brother, you're out of luck. He is a free citizen on the run. You say, who is your brother? Why, it's none other than Clarence Darrow. He is the man who framed me and sent me to prison. You stare at Jimmy in complete and utter disbelief. Now, I had to look up Clarence Darrow, because that's an actual person. You say, Clarence Darrow? You mean the lawyer from the Leopold and Loeb murder trial? You know about that? Jimmy asks in surprise. Again, so Clarence Darrow is he was a lawyer from like 1880 to like 1920 or something. I don't know where they got this name.
My brother.
Yes, my brother, who is 100 years older than me. You know about that? Jimmy asks in surprise. Everyone knows about that. It's all anyone's talking about. What does it have to do with your brother? You truly are an imbecile if you don't know. My brother had a grudge against L&L, so he hired a lawyer to help him get rid of them. It was that simple. You say, oh, so Clarence Darrow was actually involved in the murder itself? Of course he was. Why else would he hire a private detective to tail the employees? He must have seen something and wanted to find out what it was. So you're saying there's another killer on the loose? You ask. Suddenly, you hear gunshots in the distance. You and Jimmy the Hand run towards it and find Slim Jimmy chained to a meat hook in the ground once again, this time just in the middle of the city. Several other skeletons stand around the area, looking bored. Jimmy takes the key from around his neck and opens the chain and says, I told you so. You say, hold on a second. Jimmy the Hand, why do you have the key to Slim Jimmy's chains? It's a long story. You're a hired gun, aren't you? Perhaps you could consider it a compliment since I have no other options in the current situation, Jimmy says. You pull out your gun and aim it at Jimmy the Hand. Ooh, scary monster with the gun, I'm frightened. You get a lot of reaction, I'm afraid, Jimmy the Hand says. So I have no idea who said that first line. You're gonna answer a lot of questions. All right, I'll talk. Just try to keep that gun aimed at me. You say, oh, usually people ask me to put away the gun. I suppose if you want, I'll keep it aimed at you. That suits me just fine. I don't know who you might have heard, but I'm not the dangerous one here. Take that gun anyways. I don't have one anymore. If you suspect anyone, it's gonna be that blonde-haired man standing over there with the weird-looking gun. His name is Charles Finest. Now let's get to it. You turn your gun and aim it at Charles Finest. James nods to you as you aim your gun carefully, not wanting to waste a bullet. You fire wildly at Charles Finest. For some reason, you fire your gun wildly and Charles Finest drops to the floor. You quickly glance around, seeking the source of the noise. As in, the source of the noise of him falling to the ground dead. You say,
I'm enjoying
come on. It just gets a whole lot crazier.
Oh, we're not even halfway through.
No, yeah, we're like just almost halfway through, like another 20 lines or so, and then we'd be halfway. You say, come on, release Slim Jimmy. The three of us need to get out of here. James agrees, and the four of you, apparently there's four of us, free both the hobbled skeletons. Then you run as fast as you can back to the police department. You say, so just to get things straight, our party now consists of myself, Slim Jimmy, Jimmy the Hand, James, and two unnamed sentient skeletons, correct? Yep, that's about it, James replies solemnly. Well, I've been charged with murder, you say gleefully. You say, yay, murder! Slim Jimmy grimaces in pain and asks, wait, how could you possibly know that? James shrugs, pleased at your good fortune. You say, come on, the only way for us to figure out what's going on here is to find our brother, Dim Jimmy. James nods and the trio split up to look for Dim Jimmy. You quickly find him sulking in a corner and ask, Dim, you alright? Dim Jimmy looks at you with a bullet wound in his side. It's not fatal if you treat it quickly, so you call the rest of your team to help you. Luckily, Jimmy the Hand is quite good with applying bandages, and after a few moments, Dim Jimmy stands up, slightly grimacing in pain. Finally, you all are together. In less than a minute, you all are on your way to Chicago. Remember, we started in Chicago. As you make the trip, you find yourself with a lot of time to talk. You and your brothers get along famously, although you tend to find Jimmy the Hand quite annoying. You say, you know, Jimmy the Hand, no one asked you to come along with Slim Jimmy, Dim Jimmy, James, the other two skeleton brothers, and me. James chuckles, amused at Jimmy's obvious irritation and attempts to stand up for himself. You pat James on the back as you all laugh at Jimmy the Hand. Just so mean to poor Jimmy. James winces as you pat his back and stops laughing. Ow, Jimmy says, that really hurts. You all laugh once more and the awkward moment is past. You say, so, why are we all going to Chicago? Also, weren't we already in Chicago? James chuckles as he sets the car to the destination. Ah, that's a long story. Come on, you're gonna love it. You drive a short distance to the warehouse and park, getting out of the car. There are several skeletons standing watch around the warehouse, which appear to be heavily armed and guarded. All 7 of you get out of the minivan and pull out your guns, aiming them at the skeleton guards. James says, "There's no point in trying to escape. They have guards every 5 feet, and they have body cameras, and they can be trusted." I don't know what that means. You all nod to each other, preparing for a standoff. You fire your gun wildly at the skeleton guards, missing nearly every shot, while the rest of your team has nearly perfect aim. Your shots cause near panic among the skeleton guards as they dive for cover. As soon as you do, James fires 2 shots at the ground in front of them, and the 4 of you run in. You all leave Jimmy the Hand and the 2 skeletons to guard the minivan. As you enter, you notice more skeleton guards who shoot at you from many different angles. James fires back, but several of the guards' heads explode at his shot. However, 4 skeleton guards have gotten close to the 4 of you, and they start opening fire with their automatic weapons. You dive for cover and throw the rancid meat you carry in your pocket over your shoulder, hoping to distract the guards. You and your brothers throw yourself on the ground on either side of the narrow gap between the buildings. I have no idea what that even means. You say, "Okay, brothers." Yeah. You say, "Okay, brothers, it's now or never. Let's show them what Jimmys are made of." James raises his shotgun, firing as the first skeleton guard collapses in front of you, shot in the chest and falling backwards. The rest of you follow suit, standing up and unleashing a barrage of bullets upon the skeleton guards. They all fall over and dissolve into dust as your bullets fly through them. Eventually, you are staring at an empty room, devoid of any more skeleton guards. It's time to make the final push. It is time to confront the skeleton boss. James shouts, "Heads!" You nod and you run to the right. I have no idea why he just screams that. You nod and you run to the right, sprinting past the now lifeless guards. You burst through the building's inner doors, finding yourself in a small elevator. You whistle as the elevator, you whistle along with the elevator music as it slowly rises to the boss's office. You stand on the elevator, staring at a small LED readout that displays what the elevator's progress. Your display says 75%. You look at James, who shrugs. You say, "So, how have things been lately, James?" James nods solemnly. "They've been fine. Not great, but fine. Life is life. Why? What happened?" You say, "Well, Slim Jimmy was tied to a meat hook in the forest earlier, and then another one in the city. I'm not sure what happened, but I'm even more confused about why Jimmy the Hand had the keys to his shackles." James frowns, shaking his head slowly. "I swear it's true." James grabs your shotgun, aiming it at your head. "It's true," Jimmy says grimly. "He showed me." You say, "James, what are you doing?" James smirks, raising his arm. Then he loads a shell into the shotgun, pointing it at your chest. "I'll give you one last chance," James says. Sorry, it gets confusing because there's a whole lot of James and Jimmys. You say, "James, please, we've been through so much together, I think. You don't have to do this." James pulls the trigger and your brains and blood are blown onto the elevator doors. James smirks and calmly steps back, loading a new shell into the shotgun. The elevator doors slowly open, revealing a very gaunt version of Jimmy the Hand, holding a curved blade. James shouts, "Run, Jimmy, if you've got." James fires the shotgun, blowing apart Jimmy the Hand's chest again. James calmly steps forward and drives the blade into Jimmy the Hand's stomach. So Grim Jimmy is now dead. His brains got blasted in the elevator. So I did a little bit of a perspective shift here. You are now Slim Jimmy, the obese brother of Grim Jimmy. You have just seen your brother get murdered in cold blood by James, and now James is murdering Jimmy the Hand. While you're sad about your brother's death, you're happy about Jimmy the Hand's death, so you can't really complain and decide to keep following James. Grim Jimmy was always an egotistical jerk anyways. James tosses the knife aside, placing his shotgun squarely at Jimmy's head. "One more move and I'll blow your brains out," James says grimly. "Your brother would want me to do it." James pulls the trigger, blowing your head off into the space below. James looks down at the two of you for a brief moment, and then he drops his gun. So now Slim Jimmy is dead. So I did another perspective shift. You are now Dim Jimmy, the last of the Jimmy brothers. It is obvious that James has gone rogue, or someone has paid him to betray his friends. While you mourn the loss of your brothers, you know what must be done. You quickly whip out your pistol and shoot James square between the eyes. You drop to your knees, staring down and holding your dead brother. James stares at you blankly, and you let out an inhuman scream. Or no, sorry, James stares at you blankly and lets out an inhuman scream. You say, "I'm sorry, brothers. I wish I could have saved you. But I will finish this mission. I swear this to you." James falls to the ground, blood pouring from his face. James is not dead, but he will be soon if you don't help him. The elevator door opens slightly.
Help him!
Yeah, gotta help poor James. The elevator door opens slightly as a gaunt version of Frank the Skeleton, one of the last of your crew members, appears. You say, "Frank, I've never been so happy to see a skeleton. James betrayed us all. We're the only ones left." Oh, I did the wrong voice for that. I'm sorry. "Frank, I've never been so happy to see a skeleton. James betrayed us all. We're the only ones left." You fire your gun at James again, finally killing him. You stand, aiming your pistol downward. This is where I kept trying to kill him, and it didn't want to let me kill him. You stand, aiming your pistol downwards. "James," you shout. James screams, smacking into the ground and rolling around. James scrambles to his feet, reaching for his gun. After he's been shot in the head, he scrambles to his feet, reaching for his gun, which lies a few feet away from him, still cocked back. James screams and points his gun at your chest. You dodge out of the way and fire multiple rounds into James' head, killing him instantly. You drop into a dive as James frantically aims his gun in a desperate attempt to fire at you. You roll into a sitting position, James clutching at his bleeding face. The gun goes off with a bang.
That's
James.
not very instant.
Yeah. James falls to the ground, stiff as a board. He is finally dead.
Holy crap.
You now must complete your mission with Frank and Fred, the two skeletons. The elevator door opens. You slowly slide open the door, grabbing the shotgun as you do. You swing open the door, seeing a long passageway. You hurry down the passageway. I think this is my favorite part. I'm just going to read this like exactly as how it is written. The first part I wrote, and then after that it did all the rest of this on its own. You say, "With me, my skeleton comrades, for Jimmy, and for Jimmy. Forward." You charge forward, shotguns raised. The trio bursts down the passage. You burst down the passage. The three of you burst. The three of you burst down the passage. The three of you burst down the passage. You burst down the passage. Like it just keeps saying that. The passageway opens into a large open room.
And
The skeleton.
burst down the path.
You burst down the, yeah. I was expecting it to go back into that. The skeletons pause in the doorway, staring at the massive machine. "What is that?" Fred says. "It's a robot, or something." "Yes, but it's quite dead," says Frank. "Well, obviously, it's not moving," Fred says. "What are you talking about?" you say, tired of being told what's so obvious. "It's a robot. Robots are alive," Fred says, annoyed. "No, they're not," says Jimmy. You turn to see Jimmy the Hand approaching. He is somehow still alive, despite the multiple knife wounds in his chest. You turn to see Jimmy approach, his normally empty face twisted into a scowl. "What are you doing here? I thought I saw you get torn apart by wolves." "Me too," you answer. You say, "Well, the more the merrier. Let's find this skeleton boss and kill him, and then get out of here." You turn and face the massive machine. One of the two massive metal arms extends forward. It reaches forward, grasping at you. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. You say, the machine is the boss. We have to defeat it. The three of you burst forward, firing your weapons at the machines. The machine's defenses are superhuman. It easily fends off your bullets. You say, Jimmy, you have to sacrifice yourself. I'm not giving up. I'm not going to die, Jimmy exclaims. You say, yes, you are. You have to sacrifice yourself to save us. It's the only way. No, I don't have to do anything. We were the chosen ones. The will of the gods shall be done, Jimmy says. You say, oh, okay. Jimmy, you have to. I don't want to fight the machine without you. There's no way we can win, Frederick says. James growls at Jimmy, who ignores James. James fires a shell into the metal torso of the machine. The shell bounces off the metal without doing so much harm. You look at James, who is apparently alive and helping you now. James fires a massive shell into the machine, which explodes upon impact. Black smoke begins pouring out of the machine's various orifices. Parts of the machine flail about with great force, almost mowing James down. You push Jimmy the Hand and James into the machine to sacrifice them. You move to shove James and Jimmy into the robot, or whatever it is, but the three of you get caught in the massive metal claws. You say, great job, Jimmy the Hand. Your unbelievably large frame got us caught. James the Hand, apparently they're combined now, scowls at you. He lifts his knife, plunging it into the top of your skull, a deep thrust that severs your spinal cord. You die an excruciatingly painful death. So you know what that means. Time for another perspective shift.
Is the robot now?
You are now Frank the Skeleton, one of the two skeleton brothers. You look in awe as James and Jimmy the Hand are crushed by the robot. Their corpses, plus the corpse of Jimmy, collapse to the floor. Their once formidable crew quickly breaks up, and the others running off to parts unknown. James's soul rises into the air, burning in the fires of hell, much like how his body burned after death. that was AI that said that. Like, whoa. You say, well, all's well that ends well, I suppose. Let's go home, Fred. You return to Aftermath. Catalina meets you in the graveyard. The two of you got home. It's not safe to be out here like this, Catalina says. You say, you're right. We should get back to our graves. You and Fred the Skeleton lay down in your graves and cover yourself in dirt, returning to the earth. Your mission, whatever it was, is now complete, and you may finally rest eternally. The end. And now I'm gonna put a picture on stream because this is what happened after the words "the end" were written. You have reached the end. Art by Dyson, inspired by Undertale, with artwork by Twirig. You had a 10% chance of winning that battle. I have no idea. So that's the adventures of Grim Jimmy. So what do you think?
That should be a book.
Yes, I want to see I want to see a fully released novel of the adventures.
Do an Amazon self-publishing.
Yes, it's a good idea. The adventures of Grim Jimmy, who then became Slim Jimmy, who then became Dim Jimmy, who then became Frank the Skeleton.
So, looking at your thing, right? How many actions did you take?
Let's see, 163.
That's a bit more than any of mine.
That's all right. I kind of got a bit carried away because it was like halfway through, or like a quarter of the way through, I was like, this story really sucks. And then it was like all of a sudden James just assassinates Grim Jimmy for no reason. And it's like, whoa, this all of a sudden gets like really crazy.
I mean, I guess I could read one of mine now, but I just have to say, once my character died, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, it's
In mine.
you don't have to do the perspective shift. I was like this is too interesting. I have to keep going. So do you have a title for your story? Otherwise, I can just make it some generic AI dungeon thing.
I haven't made one yet, but I guess the disgruntled janitor.
Disgruntled janitor. I like it. All right, and you have the floor.
Oh no, I don't know what to do with it.
Not the floor.
So I did a custom one. So if I'll just start, I guess. And please bear with me.
All good.
You are the survivor of what? You are a survivor of the Third Galactic Civil War. You live on a warship as a lowly janitor. No one knows you as a hero, but what are you going to do about it? You say, I do this job every day and no one even knows my name. You go back, cleaning the mess. 3 guys with guns come in and shoot their way to the ship's medical wing. They were likely searching for you. You say, hey, I just finished cleaning the blood off these floors. Don't make me spill yours.
It's like a movie line.
They continue to search until you hear footsteps outside. Another survivor and an enemy both must have heard you yelling at them. What should you do? You grab a gun from the rack. Loading it up and firing, a bolt of energy comes off the first enemy, sending him flying behind a desk out of harm's way. You fire again. You fire a second, third, and fourth blast, killing more of the enemies as they fall to the ground, blood pooling around them. The first one still not quite hit the ground. You say, I just finished cleaning. I told you not to give me more work. You continue to yell at him, whoever him is. The fifth blast sends the enemy flying to the left and into a wall, killing him. The sixth shot kills the last enemy in the room. You grab your mop.
Time to clean.
You move over to the medical corridor, the site of the corpses of your friends, and what's left of them sickens and appalls you. They were just unarmed humans doing their job. Now they're dead.
Were they unarmed though?
You call security to the medical wing, please. What? You call security to the medical wing, please. Security comes in as their anti-theft security system alarms them of intruders. Say, I don't know what these enemies were after, but now they've made a mess right after I clean this place. Security says there's a blood trail that we can follow. You say, thank you, now you can go. Security leaves. You think about your next move. You follow the blood, mopping on the way. You start following the trail, seeing exactly where all the enemies of the raid went. You continue this until it leads you to a dead end, blood dripping from a wall and onto the floor. You mop the blood-covered wall. You mop the blood on the floor and the wall as well as the furniture. After you're done, you exit the area and try to leave the ship, but there is a blockade near the airlock. You say, hi, are you my guys or theirs? Security says, this is the third ship today, Captain. I can't tell if it's yours or theirs. We'll have to search the ship. You say, I'm not the captain, sorry. Security. Oh.
Oh.
You say, I'm just a lowly survivor, making do without. They say, right. You say, need any help? Any messes to clean? Security says, no sir, we'll be fine, thank you though. We could use anyone who isn't a hostile to help us clean up. You say, okay. You start cleaning.
I'm cleaning one way or another.
You begin cleaning everything that you can. When you're finished, you lock the airlock and set the ship to self-destruct.
Oh. That's the ultimate cleanser.
This whole experience has left you traumatized. You say, "No more messes here." You start working your way through the ship again, making sure to clean up any traces of blood or other dangers. You find the holdout, ready to make a break for it. You shoot at him. You raise your gun, aiming it at the holdout's head, and pull the trigger. The hollow click of the gun not firing is heard. What will you do? You rush at the holdout, mop in hand. He leaps to the side, narrowly evading you as you trip and fall. As you trip, you cry out in pain as you fall to the floor. He looks up at you look up at the holdout, and he looks down at you. He says, "You shot at me." You say, "No, I only tried to shoot at you. I was out of bullets."
That makes it better.
You look down again. The gun is on the floor and no longer in your hands. He says, "Fine. Make your best attempt at escaping then." I don't know why he's telling me to escape. You swing your mop at him. You stand, getting your anger and frustration out in a violent surge of motion as the mop head makes a beeline for the holdout's face. The force of your raise is transferred against the much larger and stronger shipboard security guards as you are able to topple them. You turn to the wounded security guard who just got himself up, and you say, "Wait, you're not intruders?" Because apparently it was a holdout, now it's security guards. He looks you over and starts to ask, "Before the ship explodes."
Oh.
You die. There's nothing left of the ship, nothing left of your body. You've died a violent death with a terrible lingering death. And that was my story.
The mystery is never solved.
Well, you got so fed up with the mess that you set the ship to self-destruct, and then later in the story they remembered that and blew up the ship.
Yeah. So did the AI end up saying that the ship exploded, or did you have to put that in?
The AI said that that I set the self-destruct and that the ship exploded.
Wow. That's amazing. I love just the abruptness of the end, where it's like you're like finding out, oh, who is this holdout? You know, what actually happened here, and then oh, the ship just blows up now.
Cool.
That's great. Well, very, very wonderful. It is a great story.
I hope you liked it. Do you have another one, or?
I do. So, I'm trying to decide. I have a few, two other stories I could read. I actually have a third one that isn't really very funny. It's actually like kind of cool. It had like a few like really neat lines, but so I can read two stories. The first story I can read is The One Who Mars. It's a story about the one who Mars, or I can read a story about Riker on the U.S.S. Enterprise and a new Star Trek episode.
I think, looking at the time, I think Riker, because I know you said The One Who Mars is a very long story.
Yeah,
and
actually,
I think it deserves its own dedicated.
It does.
Later.
Oh yeah, it is. I just looking at the scroll bar compared to any of the other ones, it is quite long. This one's like kind of long, but it's probably like about 30 minutes, like maybe at the most. So I'll try and go through it a bit faster. So let me change the topic text to. Let's see. I gotta remember what was the big plot. So this is like half of an episode, basically. Coca-Cola invades Star Trek. This will make sense as the story progresses. So, for anyone that's never watched Star Trek: The Next Generation, that's what I base this off of. I have the player character, whatever. You are Riker. The Next Generation is my favorite of the Star Treks, but I do like the original series as well. So some of this has a lot of the characters from TNG. So, let's get to it. You are Riker, first officer of the U.S.S. Enterprise. The ship's captain is your friend Picard, and the crew holds some of your closest friends. Data, the android, Worf, the Klingon, and Geordi LaForge, the blind engineer. You hold regular poker games with members of the ship. During one of the games, you are on a winning streak when suddenly you look at Geordi. He clicks something on his visor and suddenly seems to know everyone's hands of cards. You eye him suspiciously. Did he just cheat? You ask him, what do you know? He replies, nope, not at all. I just like to know certain things, like when someone's going to win. Riker, who is a hot-tempered man, and also you, looks very annoyed. You say, what's that supposed to mean, LaForge? LaForge replies, I wouldn't try to cheat if I were you. It goes against everything I believe in. You ask, what do you mean? LaForge replies, I mean that you can't trust me. You reply, how can I trust you? You're a member of the crew. LaForge replies, I'm more than that. I'm the chief engineer. I designed a lot of the tech on the ship. I'm like a second-class passenger, but I still deserve some respect. I don't know how he could be a second-class passenger when he's the chief engineer, but okay. You say, all right, fine. I trust that you aren't cheating, but I've got my eyes on you. I have to say, though, I don't like the idea that you're letting LaForge get to you. I don't know who said that. LaForge looks very insulted. You say, Worf, it's your turn. How much do you bet? Worf bets 3 chips. You ask, what's the matter? Are you nervous? Not in the least. Why should I be nervous? You smile your classic Riker smile as you raise 3 more chips. And actually, hang on. Sorry, I got to interrupt this real quick because I have to show what I mean by the Riker smile. Because otherwise, that just seemed like a really weird comment. Sorry, I'm trying to find a really here. This one is like an ultra slow motion, unfortunately. All right, uno momento, por favor. So this is the Riker smile. Look at that smile. It's so wonderful. It's so wholesome. All right, anyways. So you smile your classic Riker smile as you raise 3 more chips. Well, I guess the only way to settle this is for you to tell me who it is you're picking to win. LaForge looks like he's going to make a bet. You say, I'm not telling you who it is. You're telling me who it is. Well, you tell me who it is. I'll let you choose the stakes. You say, I don't think Bev is going to win. She's been quietly content over there. I don't think so. She hasn't made any moves yet. She hasn't made any moves yet. She's been on the verge of doing it for the last month. She hasn't said anything about marriage in the last month. She will soon. I doubt it. Oh, really? Or no. Oh, really? Why's that? Beverly speaks up. What in the world are you both talking about? Why would I talk about marriage? You quickly turn to look at her. Well, we're just talking about how I had a hunch that you were going to propose. Are you saying that you purposefully talked about marriage with me? That is so lame. No, I just assumed, I mean, you've been on the verge of marriage for quite a while now. The words on the verge of marriage, as you speak this, you wince. You realize you said the wrong thing and prepare yourself for the verbal onslaught about to commence. You see, I don't know who told you that I wanted to marry you, but that isn't me. I don't even know I don't even know you that well. I met you because you were assigned to be my roommate. I asked you out once and you turned me down. This whole thing is so weird. LaForge speaks up. All right, Riker, you lived up to your end of the deal. I'll raise the stakes to 10 chips. No, I have a system. It's a system. I don't have 10 chips. You just forget it, Worf says. All right, then I move the stakes to 20. Yeah. You say, no, Mr. Worf, I don't even have enough for 10. I guess I'll just have to go all in. You know it's a mistake as soon as you say this. Oh, really? You're going to play cards for 10 chips? Yes, I am. You sweat profusely. Mr. Worf, this might be a bad idea. What? It's a bad idea to play cards for money? You say, no, it's just, I know I can, I know I can get my bad hands before you. You suck horribly at poker, but not against Bev and Jordy. They're too good. I'm a good poker player. I just play bad against people I'm emotionally attached to. Well, I suppose so. But still, those guys are good. All bets are final and everyone reveals their cards. Jordy is holding a full house while Bev has a pair of kings and a pair of queens. You just have 2 10s, and Worf of course has a 2 and a 4, none of which matches anything on the board. Well played, gentlemen. I think this is a good time to end the game. You're not going to give me my money back, are you? No. You suck. We suck. I don't know who any of these people are talking here. Oh, come on. I'm sure you I'm sure you wouldn't. Let's see. I'm sure even you would admit that we suck at least a little bit. Oh, all right. We both suck. Definitely. All of this written by the AI again. Well, I suppose this is a good time to admit that I really suck at this game. I think I'll go get a beverage to wash this down with. Would either of you like anything? Beverly reaches over and pats your hand while Jordy shakes his head. Nah, I think I'm good. Let me know if you need anything. You run to 10 forward to get a drink. You make your way to 10 F-ord. I don't know why the AI changed it to that. And purchase a drink before sitting down at the table. You notice there are a number of patrons that are wearing uniforms. Well, I think I'll sit here, you say to the bartender and point to a seat. You're lucky. That's my seat. Oh, really? Well, don't mind me. I'll just sit here, you point to another chair. That's my chair, the bartender speaks up and points to the seat. You're kidding. This is my chair. Yes, it is. You straddle the chair and sit on it in a funny way. The bartender looks at you and with concern, then walks away. All right, what'll you have? You look around and then order a Diet Coke. Diet Coke, you say. Now keep in mind, this is in the Star Trek universe. I don't know if Diet Coke is a thing. You say, oh wait, Diet Coke doesn't exist in the future as we have no need for companies for our drinks. Just get me a non-alcoholic screwdriver, which is essentially just orange juice, but in the future we still drink these apparently for their flavor somehow. You know, a very subtle commentary on the weirdness of the Star Trek universe that they drink non-alcoholic alcohol. I'm fairly certain that the bartender meant a cocktail. A screwdriver is a cocktail, although in the future I suppose a glass of orange juice would be just would be more in line with what you asked for. Here you go. I don't know who said that. You say thanks. Of course. He slides the drink across the bar as you grab it. As it slides across the bar, a woman walks in, and a little boy, maybe 5 years old, runs behind her. Oh, excuse me, could I have a Diet Coke? The woman says. Sure thing. You say, something's not quite right here. Why are we all ordering Diet Cokes when we know that here in the future those don't exist anymore? The woman is clearly trying to be polite, but you have noticed a distinct lack of customer service here. You wander off, confused about the situation. As you walk the halls, you see crew members holding Diet Cokes in their hands, all conversing as if nothing is wrong. Suddenly, you turn behind and see Picard around the corner, wearing his uniform with Coca-Cola labels plastered all over. He smiles and holds up a flag with the Coca-Cola logo and drinks a Diet Coke. You look upon this with terror. The Coca-Cola people of Coca-Coco 4 have taken over the ship. You must stop them. To your surprise, Lieutenant Worf, Chief Jordy, and Lieutenant Bev are walking towards you. You say, Worf, Jordy, Bev, please tell me you haven't all been drinking the Diet Cokes. Why no, that isn't anything. We just got our drinks. You're a little preoccupied, aren't you, Mr. Worf? Yes, Worf says. I have been struck by a plastic barrel, and I am now looking for someone to kill me, for I have no honor. Perhaps Mr. Data would be happy to help. And that's a Star Trek: The Next Generation episode where he gets hit with like a cheap aluminum barrel and apparently breaks his back and wants someone to kill him because Klingons have no honor if they get taken down by a barrel. It's a stupid plot. That will do, Mr. Worf. You're a disgrace to the entire crew. You hear a loud beeping outside, and it sounds like it's coming from Worf's uniform. Worf, your suit is beeping. Yes, I know. I was just mocking the captain. I can't let him see me. It will only make him angrier. You say, Worf, if it'll shut you up, I'll kill you. Is that what you would like so that we can get back to the main plot of this episode? Yes, of course. That would be lovely. Thank you so much. The beeping continues and gets louder. You go with Worf to his room as he pulls out the ceremonial knife and hands it to you. Please, Commander Riker, stab me through the heart. You hesitate as you're not entirely sure you're comfortable with this. But as you're a doctor in this timeline, killing is rather easy. I have no idea what that statement even means. You stab Worf through the heart with the knife. The knife nearly pierces the leather and cardboard of Worf's uniform, but doesn't penetrate his heart. Worf grabs the knife.
The cardboard.
Yeah, he's apparently wearing a cardboard uniform. Worf grabs the knife and stabs you through the chest. Now you are dead. You say, what is the meaning of this, Mr. Worf? This can't be happening. This can't be happening, Worf says. I have traveled through time, and this is the only logical conclusion. Worf, how can you be dead? As you bleed out and crawl into the hallway, looking back to see Worf still standing back there with the knife in his hand. Data comes to your aid, pushing Worf back and grabbing the knife. He plunges the knife deep into Worf's chest, piercing his heart instantly. No, you yell, realizing that you too can be stabbed to death. Commander Riker, Data says, you must survive. You're the only one who can save the ship. If you do not return, the ship is doomed. Will you survive? You say, yes, Data, I'll do my best. You have to help us. The entire ship has been taken over by Coca-Cola, and I imagine the culprit is on the bridge right now. I will return with the aid of someone who possesses the knife, Data says. Thank you, sir. With that, Data, also, he shouldn't be calling him sir, because Data is lower ranked than him, but anyways. With that, Data runs off, and you follow him. You run down the hall and reach the bridge. In the middle sits Captain Vandell, holding a small knife. You say, Vandell? I should have known it was you. Only you would be enough of a coward to use Coca-Cola to take over the ship. I could not allow you to kill yourself. But you should have seen this coming. The Federation has been meddling with time. This is what happens when you tamper with the space-time continuum. You say, is this what this is all about? Time? You do not understand the nature of time. Don't you understand that in this universe, the Federation is a criminal organization that steals the intellectual property of others and refuses to pay royalties to the rightful owners? You say, so that's why we have all this Coca-Cola merchandise all over the ship. We're just a crime ship, transporting stolen Coca-Cola products and making billions. You do not understand the system of time. This ship was not designed to go through time. The engine can't even handle the stress. It would be suicide to travel through time in this ship. You say, but we have to try. We have to return to our own timeline and stop the Federation from trying to mess with the ship, or stop the Federation from trying to mess with time more. You must help us, Vandell. You, Data, and I are the only ones who seem to be unaffected by this new universe. I can't. I tried. I can't live in a universe where I'm a disgrace to the service, a criminal, and a coward. You say, yes, you can. You have the power to do something truly good. History won't tell your story, but you will live through the hearts of all of those in the universe as a man who sacrificed his own life for the good of all. Vandell puts down the knife and looks at you with a newfound respect. Commander Riker, you are right. I will help you. Thank you, sir. You will need to surrender your life. And your life signs. What? I will need to scan you and see who you are. It's the only way. Scanning's a pain in the butt. It's the only way. I'm sorry. And then the story ends. So that's like the first 15 minutes of a Star Trek episode.
Worf died.
Yeah. He traveled through time, went back in time, got hit with the plastic barrel, and then wanted to be killed while wearing his cardboard uniform. After you stabbed him, he takes the knife out of himself and stabs you in the chest, trying to kill you, and then Data comes in and finishes the job. So,
knowing AI Dungeon, he'll come back.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is not the last we've seen of Worf. It's such a stupid story. So, anyways, that's the end of the AI Dungeon stories.
That was definitely a thing.
Yeah.
I would give you a higher score than I received.
No, I liked your janitor story a lot.
I couldn't not die, I guess.
Yeah. I hope the legend of Jimmy, and James lives on in the hearts of everyone.
The hearts of millions.
The millions. So,
I'm looking forward to the movie adaptation.
Yes. So, in the future, Joe and I can do this live. Another thing is, if we want to, we could order the like for 1 month do the dragon model and just use that, do that to get some stories just for fun or whatever. It's not like the worst thing in the world. It's kind of frustrating just because it's like, yeah, it's $10 a month. That's just kind of lame, but it is like a 1 week free trial. So we could even just do that 1 week free trial on like the week that we're doing AI dungeon stories. But we can do, at some point we'll do reading them and creating them live on stream, both of us kind of feeding in stuff and maybe even getting some suggestions from chat and everything. So that'll be fun. But next week on the talk show is Joe and I doing our Minecraft maps.
Mince raft.
So
and,
that'll be exciting.
I feel like when we reveal that, we'll lose all credibility as game.
Yes.
As people who know game design. People
will be like, I sure am glad I never decided to give them any money to design a game. Otherwise, this would have been what I was looking at. No, it is as a disclaimer for that, and we'll give the same disclaimer when the stream actually comes. We made there's one map called Minecraft the game, and we made 2 adventure maps in it. The first one was the first adventure map sort of thing we had ever made, and it's all right, but it's just all right, not great. So so don't expect a whole lot from that one. And the second one I do believe is genuinely very good, but a lot of its wiring doesn't necessarily work super well because it's kind of like, some of it is because it's deprecated in the newer versions. Others are because like you have to do certain parts of the actual game in order to actually tell it to be like, okay, now, because there's not a way that you can really do like very easily do like a, okay, you have completed this part of the game without having like completing the puzzle actually does that. So if you skip past the puzzle, then it completely screws up progression. So we'll go through all of those and go through as much as we're able to and explain what the code actually was supposed to be and what's actually supposed to happen and what did happen in the past. It's just that we can't really test it as easily nowadays.
Look forward.
Yeah.
I hope everyone else who's watching, which is by my count no one, but I hope I hope someone will enjoy it as much as I do.
Yes. Yeah, it'll be a really fun time. I'm really looking forward to it. So, this was a slightly different stream than our normal game design stuff. We weren't doing a whole lot of designing actual games, but I think this was a really fun stream. A really fun talk show, so keep an eye out for next week. I think my the previous episode should have been loaded up. I'm sorry, you're probably gonna hear. Yeah, there we go. You heard the first half a second of one of our videos. Let's see. Yeah, so the Fallout 4 episode of the podcast has gone live. That was last week's episode. So check it out if you want. Another episode of the Algo and Joe talk show. Here it goes. Oh no, I'm talking over myself. Joe.
Oh no, honest opinion. I'm in the name. Which Fallout 4 Fallout New Vegas? Which one was a better episode
So
from a podcast perspective?
I'm sorry.
Fallout 4.
Hang on.
Fallout 4.
Am I just talking over everything?
DLC.
No, I just autoplayed 4 episodes of the podcast, so I just heard myself talking 4 times. My favorite episode, like of the 2, I think I like them both. Honestly, I thought they were really good because those are 2 games I've never played, and so it was really fascinating to be learning more stuff about them. But I think New Vegas, I don't know. I think Fallout, I think the Fallout 4 one was like from a like game design perspective, like game design discussion perspective, it was a bit better, whereas the Fallout New Vegas one was better for like the kind of like teaching about the game and exactly what's going on and why it's a fun game and everything. So like they both were really good, but for different reasons. So plus
You flatter me. You flatter me.
No, I appreciate. I very much enjoy your episodes. Plus, I think the Fallout 4 one ended up it was able to turn into a discussion about DLC in general, which was pretty fun. So I think that was good cheese.
Gouda cheese. Well, I don't think I had much to say to begin with in this episode. Commander Riker again, I see.
Yep, there he is.
Well,
smiling his wry smile.
if you have anything else to say?
No, I think that's about it. Thank you, Joe, very much again for being a part of the talk show. I appreciate it.
I try my very best to make it good.
Yes, you do a great job.
There's only so much I can add, besides it's very incremental compared to how good you would have made it by yourself.
No, I think this works out well, because if I was still making this by myself, I would probably still be complaining about World of Warcraft. So I think this is good because it definitely helps diversify everything.
Bakes fist.
But I did really enjoy this AI dungeon, and I mean, granted, OBS hasn't updated how many viewers and like the time of streaming so much for a very long time, so I could be out of date. But it looks like at the moment there's no one else watching. But if you're watching this like on YouTube at some point, I hope you enjoyed. Please leave any sort of feedback on any of the podcasts. Just leave a comment of any variety. Send me a message on Discord. I have my Discord link is you just do ! Discord in my chat and it'll give you the link. So I might add it as a link on my about pages as well. I'm not sure. So please feel free to send me a message or to write a comment of any sort of suggestions or feedback. Personally, I think this was one of my favorite things that we've done on the talk show, but all of the episodes have been great. So anyways, just I hope everyone enjoyed very much.